OLS regression, Scikit versus Statsmodels. Short version, I was using the Scikit linear regression on some data, but I'm used to p-values, so put the data into the Statsmodels OLS, and although the R² is about the same, the variable coefficients are all different by large amounts. This concerns me since the most likely problem is that I've made an error somewhere and now I don't feel confident in either output, since likely I have made one model incorrectly but don't know which one. Longer version, because I don't know where the issue is, I don't know exactly which details to include, and including everything is probably too much. I am also not sure about including code or data. I am under the impression that Scikit's LR and Statsmodels OLS should both be doing OLS, and as far as I know OLS is OLS, so the results should be the same. For Scikit's LR, the results are, statistically, the same whether or not I set normalize equals true or equals false, which I find somewhat strange. For Statsmodels OLS, I normalize the data using standard scalar from Scikit. I add a column of 1 so it includes an intercept, since Scikit's output includes an intercept. More on that here. This URL, adding this column did not change the variable coefficients to any notable degree, and the intercept was very close to 0. Standard scalar didn't like that my ints weren't floats, so I tried this URL. That makes the warning go away, but the results are exactly the same. Granted, I'm using 5-fold CV for the Scikit approach, R² are consistent for both test and training data each time, and for Statsmodels I just throw it all the data. R² is about 0.41 for both Scikit and Statsmodels. This is good for social science. This could be a good sign or just a coincidence. The data is observations of avatars in WoW, from this URL, which I'm about to make it weekly with some different features. Originally this was a class project for a data science class. Independent variables include number of observations in a week, int, character level, int, if in a guild, boolean, when seen, booleans on weekday day, weekday eve, weekday late, and the same 3 for weekend, a dummy for character class. At the time for the data collection, there were only 8 classes in WoW, so there are 7 dummy vars and the original string categorical variable is dropped, and others. The dependent variable is how many levels each character gained during that week, int. Interestingly, some of the relative order within like variables is maintained across Statsmodels and Scikit. So, rank order of when seen is the same although the loadings are very different, and rank order for the character class dummies is the same although again the loadings are very different. I think this question is similar to this one, difference in Python Statsmodels OLS and R's LM. I am good enough at Python and stats to make a go of it, but they're not good enough to figure something like this out. I tried reading the Scikit docs and the Statsmodels docs, but if the answer was there staring me in the face, I did not understand it. I would love to know which output might be accurate. Granted, they might both be if I missed a corg. If I made a mistake, what is it and how to fix it? Could I have figured this out without asking here, and if so, how? I know this question has some rather vague bits, no code, no data, no output, but I am thinking it is more about the general processes of the two packages. Sure, one seems to be more stats and one seems to be more machine learning, but they're both OLS, so I don't understand why the outputs aren't the same. I even tried some other OLS calls to triangulate. One gave a much lower R², one looped for 5 minutes and I killed it, and one crashed. Thanks.
It sounds like you are not feeding the same matrix of regressors X to both procedures, but see below. Here's an example to show you which options you need to use for Scikit and Statsmodels to produce identical results. As a commenter suggested, even if you are giving both programs the same X may not have full column rank, and the SM/SK could be taking different actions under the hood to make the OLS computation go through, i.e. dropping different columns. I recommend you use Pandas and Patsy to take care of this. Or, alternatively, the Statsmodels formula interface. Edit, this example might be useful, this URL.
If you use Statsmodels, I would highly recommend using the Statsmodels formula interface instead. You will get the same old result from OLS using the Statsmodels formula interface as you would from scikit.linear_model.linear regression, or R, or SAS, or Excel. When in doubt, please try reading the source code. Try a different language for benchmark, or try OLS from scratch, which is basic linear algebra.
I just wanted to add here, that in terms of Scikit, it does not use OLS method for linear regression under the hood. Since Scikit comes from the data mining/machine learning realm, they like to use steepest descent gradient algorithm. This is a numerical method that is sensitive to initial conditions etc., while the OLS is an analytical closed-form approach, so one should expect differences. So Statsmodels comes from classical statistics field, hence they would use OLS technique. So there are differences between the two linear regressions from the two different libraries.
If you want to see more, please consider subscribing.